Good evening, fam. Our latest is that white South Africans are coming out to expose Afriforum for exaggerating farm murderers statistics. Afriforum recently visited America to discuss SA matters with Donald Trump administration, including farm murderers and alleged genocide of white people in SA. Fellow white South Africans are now speaking out to clarify the situations and reveal how Afriforum is portraying themselves as victims. The stats Afriforum represent on a global stage reportedly involve other crimes, not only farm murderers, and they are not genocide but rather general crimes that are affecting all SA citizens. It is claimed that the statistics are exaggerated, and Afriforum is aware of this, but they are not stopping. Listen to fellow South Africans in the next slide when they discussed this matter. Please remember to also leave your comments down below and let us know of your take regarding this. And that's all we have for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you again next time. Bye.
So the first thing I want to remind you is you asked. Secondly, you asked for a number of abhorrent torture and murder that whites have perpetrated against white farmers. Why are you only listing white farmers when the numbers include any individual on a farm? But I'll focus on whites, but no, we are going to make sure that we look at where the farmer perhaps did these things. And I won't even look at the many black victims. For instance, in August last year, we had 4 black victims. 2 of them were shot and thrown to the pigs. The other 2 were burnt alive after being assaulted and put in barrels and then burnt alive. So we'll leave them out, but let's take, and I assume that those things count as torture, but let's take a look at the murders on farms committed by white people. And I'm only going to list 4 ongoing cases right now. Okay, so you did say that we are not allowed to refer to DV. However, this is a murder that took place on a farm, and I think that Theonette does matter. She was allegedly beaten to death. There was a huge amount of blood all over. And as you can see, she is much smaller than Johan, and this happened on a farm. And then he took her body half naked, threw her on a railway line, and went and reported her missing. But we'll ignore this case. But this is ongoing. Then this is another case that will be counted as a farm murder. Initially, there were articles saying a farmer was stabbed 5 times and then his throat was slit. However, when it came out that no, the perpetrators didn't look exactly like they thought the perpetrators should look, they decided that Burkhard Newman was no longer a farmer. However, again, this will be a farm murder and it will be part of the numbers. It's already been taken into account. This is Henny Venter, also stayed on a farm. He was beaten and then he was chopped up and he was his remains were set alight, and the perpetrators of this were also 2 white Afrikaans men, also on a farm, and also his remains were found on another farm. And this is Shirley Bilson from Piketberg. She was beaten over an extended period by her son, a farmer from Piketberg, Andrew Bilson. And he initially told the hospital staff that she had fell. She was alive when she got to hospital, but then when they started looking at the marks on her body, they noticed that a lot of the marks were older marks. So, and she died. Shirley Bilson passed away. She was 81 years old. And this is Jurgen Nel. He was an employee of Sunel Uber on her farm. His body was found with 6 stab wounds in his room on the farm. And Sunel Uber has been arrested for allegedly murdering Jurgen Nel. Now, I am going backwards now from court cases that are current right to the early 90s to dispel this myth of white genocide, but also to actually give voices for the white victims that seem to be forgotten in the need to push a racist narrative around farm murders. Because most of those cases, besides, I believe, Theonet, will be mentioned and counted as farm murders, because a farm murder is just referring to where it happens. So in other words, did it happen on a farm or a small holding? In September 2021, it had looked like Sherry Ann Jacobs, who was 40 years old, only married 6 months to Jock Pretorius, who was 54, had taken her own life, okay, and by means of hanging herself. However, in March 2025, Jock Pretorius actually was arrested for her alleged murder. It is alleged that Sherry Ann Jacobs was actually strangled. Now, fast forward to 27 March 2025. A 54-year-old woman from Senekal in the Free State was sitting with her 74-year-old husband in the living room. She then suddenly got up, according to her husband, went to the bedroom, and in a few minutes a shot rang out. When he went to the bedroom, she was lying dead on the floor, and her registered pistol was actually lying next to her. Now, after the autopsy, it was found that the shot was in the back of her head. Her husband has now been arrested and he appeared in court today. I will update the story. Sadly, neither of these cases are isolated incidences. In fact, I think it's got to a stage where we're not even shocked to hear that a partner or a husband killed their wife or their partner. It's just not shocking anymore. And it's because of the level of violence that we are exposed to on a daily basis. But it does highlight the brutal truth that women are not safe anywhere in South Africa. They are not safe behind closed doors. Their homes, where they are supposed to be safe, turns into death traps.
Ja, die laaste paar ure versprei.
No man, TV, come on. It's not that deep. You're continuously complaining about crime in the country. Now you've got a problem when people that are breaking the law are actually held accountable. Come on. We've seen a number of videos, regardless of race, of people getting arrested and loaded in a police van. Now because it's a white guy, you've got a problem. Come on. The reason farmers actually hire undocumented foreign nationals is because they can exploit them. And that's the issue is they are less likely to understand their rights. They are less likely to demand, for instance, minimum wage. They are less likely to complain about their living circumstances on farms. And that's why they are hired instead of local labor. And this is a huge problem and it needs to be addressed. Yes, we have a problem on the borders, but I remember years ago is that the farmers actually organized to get foreign nationals across from different countries to come and work on farms. So they do this deliberately. If they get caught out now for it, good, because this causes a huge problem in South Africa. There is then resentment between local people and then people that are foreign nationals. They are a vulnerable group. Yes, they might be in a terrible situation that they cannot get jobs and stuff like that, but placing them here is not good and exploiting them here. So let's stop with the nonsense. Let's stop with the theatrics. People broke the law and they're being held accountable. It's not because they are white, okay? No, it does actually matter because it matters to the black and white victims mentioned in that video. So that number includes black victims too. Why do they not matter? And that's the thing, it's very hard to change the narrative when we've got a reactionary take and we don't listen to what's actually being said. Of course they matter. They have been silenced all the time. So now I make content to include black victims. I give a number that includes black victims and you say it doesn't matter. And I understand your anger at the narrative, but I want to say you're just as reactionary now as, for instance, a white genocide or white farm murder activist would be. So maybe we should change the narrative and recognize, be the victim, black or white. They didn't come up with a racist narrative. So we mustn't discount them. Any murder is one too many in South Africa.
Here's a little story I want to share with you, Johan. I was brought up with the same Swart Gevaar narrative. Wait and see, they're coming for you. I was told that black people are going to come and attack me because Mandela got released. I was, 12? I was told my language and my culture is being attacked and getting taken away. It's been 30 years. It's been 30 years. Afrikaans is still thriving. I've been told that I should fear for my life of black people, but the people I fear the most, especially on this app, is white people. I've been indoctrinated to think that I was the victim. However, after 30 years, you sort of have to think for yourself, right? Think for yourself. It's not the way that you were taught.
Okay, so let me just highlight that I'm no longer going to do the chant discussion. However, I think it's important that we learn so that we don't overuse the same victimhood card. But I have tagged a brilliant video by Nicholas van Jay that I think explains the concept very well and is much more gentle and patient than I will be. Now let's go to Julius Malema's "We Will Slit the Throat of Whiteness." Okay, I just want to highlight that you are not whiteness. You happen to be a white person, Frikkie. Okay, so, but you're not whiteness. Whiteness is a social construct. So, and in the context of South Africa, here is the description. Now, I do understand there are a number of people in South Africa, including black people, colored people, Indian people, and of course, many white people that have an emotional reaction to what Julius Malema says because he does not tiptoe around the feelings of white people. He does not tiptoe around our inability or our unwillingness to educate ourselves on social constructs. Okay? And then there is a huge outrage reaction, and there's a lot of white tears and anger and all those things, and everyone feels it can be avoided. However, I want people to consider that if we had someone like that in 1994, and I am by no means dissing the peacemakers that were in control there, but if we had someone like that in 1994, do you not think that we would have gone much more, well, there would have been progress when it comes to all these total meltdowns that we have today? Another thing is, do we not think that if we had people that weren't tiptoeing around white people's feelings in 1994, that we wouldn't have had entire organizations that thought that they can actually ask for foreign powers to interfere in our state and in our sovereignty? So, I am done with sensitive feelings. Educate yourselves, get on the bus or be left behind, or get on the bus to the airport because there is an option.